guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be filming my review and a 3 demo look on the Urban Decay Born to Run eyeshadow palette. I have been wanting to try this guy out ever since it launched. I just thought it was such a beautiful palette and I finally got it 2 months ago on my way to Japan at duty free. But ColourPop has just been releasing so much stuff that I've been putting those reviews first before this one, and I feel like ColourPop has finally settled down a little bit and I've had time to focus on this guy. So we're going to be talking all about the Born to Run eyeshadow palette today. You guys have been requesting it, so thank you for being patient with me as always. I'm really excited for this review. I'm going to give you my thoughts on the formula, the shade range. I'll also give you a comparison to another palette, and of course my 3 demos. So if you guys are interested in all of that, then just continue watching. Alright, first things first as always is product info. You can get this eyeshadow palette for $49 US, and for those of you guys that live in New Zealand or Australia, you can get it off Mecca for 84 New Zealand dollars. This palette comes with 21 eyeshadows, 8 of them being matte, and the remaining 13 shadows are kind of shimmers slash metallics. It also does come with a mirror as well. So just jumping straight into my review of the eyeshadow palette, I literally haven't touched an Urban Decay eyeshadow in a very long time. I have the original Naked, Naked 2, Naked 3, and both of the Naked Basics, but I literally haven't touched them in forever. My memory of them isn't the best. I think at the time they were really great palettes, but now trying so many other formulas, they really aren't that great. I just remember them being very sheer, very ashy and grey on me. I wasn't really sure if it was going to be the same kind of formula as the original Naked palettes, but now that I've got to play around with this palette and this formula, it is completely different from the Naked formula. It is literally so pigmented, so easy to blend out. It reminds me of like ColourPop, Morphe, Juvia's Place, just very high quality, easy eyeshadows. And I'm just really surprised by it. I was really taken back. Formula wise, it is great. I didn't get to use all the eyeshadows in this palette yet, but the ones that I got to use work amazing. So far it is quite consistent. The only shadows that I didn't get to use were mostly of the shimmers, and usually shimmers perform very nicely. There's hardly ever like an inconsistency with that. I think the color shades are beautiful. I love the range in here. Although the finishes, I feel like we could have had a little bit more mattes. I feel like when you have a lot of mattes, you are more open to creating more detailed eye looks and different kind of techniques that I could have played around with. But when I do have limited matte eyeshadows, I always go back to my usual techniques like half cut creases, smoky eyes, and my like everyday kind of technique. But in saying that, if I wasn't filming, if I wasn't trying to make my looks unique for you guys, if I was just to create like a half cut crease, I could use any of the mattes and then pop any of the shimmer shadows and all the looks will look very different. But I'm using the same technique, if that makes any sense. So yeah, just overall, this is an amazing palette. Formula, shades, just works beautifully. I love all the looks that I created. We do have one existing shade already. So this shade here called Smog, it's actually in the original Naked palette, but the original Naked palette got discontinued. But I thought I would just mention it. There is one existing shade in here. But I wanted to talk about a comparable palette to you guys. So the way I feel about this palette is the way I feel about the ColourPop Perception palette in collaboration with Makeup Shayla. I'm gonna put up over the screen some comparable shades. The Shayla palette has 16 shadows, the Born to Run has 21. So you're just a little bit off with the numbers in there, but I feel like the Born to Run is just kind of like an extended version of the Perception palette. You can see that the Perception palette has your typical transition shades, and then you have a bunch of metallics to play with. You have rose golds, blues, pinks, you have everything in here, and that's how I feel about the Born to Run. The price difference is drastically different. I think New Zealand dollars, the ColourPop one will be about $25 and the Urban Decay one is $84. It's almost like 4 times the price. So if you are on the budget, I would just say maybe get the Perception palette. You'll be perfectly happy with this. If you're familiar with my videos, this is like in my top 5 eyeshadow palettes. I love this one a lot. But if you already have the Perception and you want to get the Born to Run, I wouldn't say it's necessary, but for someone that has both palettes, I don't mind having both. I feel like this is the most closest palette to the Urban Decay one. So yeah, overall, I am very happy with this palette. It makes me want to try more Urban Decay palettes. I'm hoping the Naked Heat is kind of similar to this formula, because if it is, I really want to try it because the formula in this is amazing. I really want to create more looks, and I feel like that's when you know an eyeshadow palette is good. If you want to keep going back to it, you want to create more looks with it. That's how I feel. Like, there's just so many shimmer shadows that I didn't get to use in my 3 looks that I want to just keep using this and try more, because these shades are stunning. I think that is everything that I wanted to say about this palette. Formula, shade range, finishes. I think that's all I can say about this palette. So with that being said, we can now move along to the swatches and also the 3 demos. Okay, so getting started with the first look, we're gonna go in with the shade Weekender on my Makeup Collective number 16 brush, and I'm just gonna use this shade to set down my concealer, which acts as my eye base. I'm just gonna put that all over my lid up to my brow bone. Going into the shade Rith with my colourpop tapered blending brush, this is going to be our transition shadow. I'm just putting that straight into my crease using circular and windshield wiping motions. I'm also going to bring this one a little bit higher, kind of close to my brow bone. That way we can see it peeping through with all the other shadows on top of it. And I'm also going to be taking that on my lower lash line as well, but I'll be using my Sigma E55 brush. So just going to run it all over my lower lash line, connecting the shadows at that outer corner. Now I'm taking the shade Punk on my Morphe M433 brush, and I'm going to place that right at the outer corner of my eye, and then I'll bring it slowly towards the inner crease. But I just want to make that outer corner super dark, so I'm going to focus most of the product there first. Taking my Makeup Collective number 7 brush, I'm just going to run that on my lower lash line as well, but keeping it closer to my waterline, and I'm not going to bring it all the way into the inner corner. I'm just going to stop it halfway, but mainly you just want to connect the shadows right at the outer corner. Using the shade Good As Gone on my Colourpop E9 brush, doing exactly the same thing but focusing it in a smaller area and a little bit lower to my lash line and right at that outer corner. Just using more circular motions. I'm taking the shade Ignite on my Makeup Collective number 18 brush, and this is going right in that inner corner of our lid. I'm using this shade Wet as well just to prevent any fallout, but I'm just going to place it right in the inner corner and around the crease area. I'm not really going to define the crease by cutting it. I'm pretty much just going to blend it out, make it very soft and smoky. And just taking a little bit of Baja on my Sigma E25 brush, I'm just going to lightly tap that with the shimmer and the matte meet. Also just adding a little bit of orange into the eye. It's really going to tie in the whole warm look. But I'm just going to pat over where they meet, that way you can't see where it stops and finishes, and it all just seamlessly blends into each other. Now I'll be taking the shade Jet on my Makeup Collective number 5 brush, and I'm going to use this shadow to actually tightline my upper lash line and almost creating a smoky wing. We want to blend it out into that outer corner. So I'm just taking a pencil brush. This is the Makeup Collective number 10 brush, and I'm just going to use this to kind of blend out that black and really just connect it from the outer corner and inner corner. If you're connecting it at the outer corner and inner corner, you're really going to make your eye shape look a lot different. It's really going to round it out, make it look a lot more almond-like. Quickly just taking my ardency in modster eyeliner in the shade Coffee. I'm going to use this to tightline my bottom lash line. Taking the shade Breakaway, I'm going to use this to highlight my brow bone and also my inner corners. Alright guys, so this is the final look for my lashes. I am wearing the Demure Lights from House of Lashes. And for my final lip pairing, I decided to go with the Ultra Blotted Lip from Colourpop in the shade Vitamin C. And then I topped it off with the Ultra Glossy Lip in the shade Dusk to Dusk. And that pretty much completes this look. I love how this one turned out. This is something I definitely would wear, like just going out on the daily basis. This is my kind of glam. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Alright, so to get started with the second look, we're going to take the shade Weekender once again. And of course, I'm going to use this to set down my concealer, which acts as my eye base. We're just going to quickly run through this step because it's nothing too crazy special. Taking the shade Still Shot, this is going to be our transition shadow. I'm going to make sure that I'm putting that straight into my crease, but I'm putting it all over my crease. This is a really nice pinky peach color and it's going to contrast against the green really nicely. Now taking the shade Good As Gone, I'm going to focus this right at that outer corner, bringing it a little bit towards my crease but not passing the transition shade. I'm really just going to keep dabbing that on at that outer part and slowly bring it into the middle of my crease. Taking my Sigma E20 brush, I'm going to take that into the inner part of my lid space, just keeping the middle blank. You just really want that inner corner and the outer corner to be super dark. Taking some concealer on the back of my hand, I'm going to stamp this right at the center of my lid where we didn't put too much eyeshadow on. And I'm just going to slowly bring that towards up my crease. And we're going to be slightly cutting it exactly how I do my normal half cut creases, but we're just focusing the concealer around the center of the eye. So I just like to take a smaller brush and just to define that crease, following the natural curve of your eye as well. Now I'm taking the shade Big Sky and we're going to place that right on the center of our lid, right on top of that concealer. And now just using the shade Wanderlust, we're going to be using this shadow to blend the metallic and the mattes together. And although this is a metallic shadow, I just like how it's more of like a darker green and it really blends nicely with Big Sky. So we're just going to be swiping back and forth, just kind of where they meet and just blend the shadows into each other. Also taking that to the inner corner as well. Going back into the shade Still Shot on my Sigma E55 brush, I'm going to run this shadow all over my lower lash line. We're pretty much going to mimic what we did on the top lid right on to the lower lash line. So since this was the first shade we used, we're going to use this as our base for our lower lash line as well. And again, just going back into Good As Gone, I'm going to stamp this right under my lash line at the outer corner, slowly bringing it towards the middle, but I'm going to stop it there. And I'm going to stamp this right at the inner corner of my lower lash. And just taking the shade Big Sky, I'm just going to place that right in the center of my lower lash, just very lightly. Once again, just taking my ardency in modster eyeliner in the shade Coffee. I'm just going to use this to tightline my lower lash line all the way through. I just feel like I don't want that skin showing. Using the shade Breakaway once again, we're going to use this to highlight our brow bone and also our inner corners. Alright guys, so this is the second look completed. For my lashes, I am once again wearing the Boudoir Lights from House of Lashes, and for my final lip pairing, I decided to go with the NYX Lingerie Liquid Lipstick in the shade Seduction. Now moving along to the third look. Once again, we're going to be taking the shade Weekender. I'm going to use this to set down our concealer, as always. I'm taking the shade Badger, and this is gonna be our transition shadow, but I'm just putting that straight into my crease using windshield wiping motions and slowly blending that towards my brow bone. This shadow is actually a little bit too dark to be an initial transition, so just take your time blending this one out. I'm taking the shade Hell Right, and I'm just gonna pop that right in the outer corner of my eye, and then I'll slowly bring it towards the inner part of my crease to start creating that depth for our cut crease. Taking the shade Punk, again just popping that in the outer corner first just to get that depth, and then I'll slowly bring that towards my inner crease, but focusing it a little bit lower. Just taking a little bit of Jet, I'm just going to pop that in the outer corner a little bit. Since it's a black shadow, you don't want to put too much on because the darker the shadow is, the harder it is to blend out. So you just want to work with a little bit. I felt like I just needed to add a little bit more darkness to the outer edge. And just taking some concealer on the back of my hand using my Vanity Planet Small Cream Shadow Brush, I'm going to start cutting out my inner crease. So just placing that in the inner third of my lid space and bringing it towards my crease. We're just going to follow the natural curve of my lid. Next, I'll be taking the shade Wild Heart using this shadow Wet. I'm going to place that right on the center of my lid where the concealer kind of is fading out. Next, we'll be using the shade Blaze, and I'm going to put that in the inner part of my lid space where we left blank. And what's so special about this shade is that it has like a beautiful golden base, but it has lots of like lilac pink reflex glitters in it, so it's really going to blend nicely into the shade Wild Heart. I feel like these two shades really pair nicely together. Also using this shadow Wet as well. Going back into the shade Badger, I'm going to brush this all along my lower lash line. And just going back into the shade Punk, I'm going to press this up against that waterline. And now just taking my Colourpop Creme Gel Liner in the shade Boots, I'm going to use this in my bottom waterline. Alright guys, so this is the final look completed for my lashes. I am once again wearing the Boudoir Light from House of Lashes, and for my final lip pairing, I am wearing the Luxe lipstick from Colourpop in the shade Layover. And this, guys, is going to conclude my video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed watching and also found this review helpful. If you did, be sure to give the video a thumbs up for me. I would appreciate it so much if you did. Don't forget to leave your thoughts down below. What do you guys think of the looks that I created? What do you guys think of the eyeshadow palette? Have you already got it? Do you want to get it? What do you guys think? Oh, I quickly want to mention, in my previous video, my Asian makeup versus Western makeup, I did use this eyeshadow palette. So if you want like an extra look, you can go to that video and see an extra look using this palette as well. So technically I did 4 looks with this palette. I thought I would just let you guys know just in case you didn't watch that video. But with that being said, that is gonna wrap everything for today. I want to thank you guys so much for watching as always. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!